Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm here talking to myself. Well, hi everybody. I was apologizing for being here a little bit late, and also I'm still getting set up, so I did miss that. I'm trying to get everything set up as fast as I can for you guys. My time management skills are bad. uh, we're doing our best though. Okay, so I think what I was saying was, I don't know if anybody was here long enough ago to have heard me say this, but I think that I found a workaround for a problem I complained about before, which was that I was really not sure how I could get my iPad streamed to my Windows device in a way that I could like share it with you guys consistently. But I think I found a weird little workaround, so we're gonna try that today. And I've almost got it set up here, so here. We're gonna put you on the little be right back screen just because I don't have an in between screen for this, but I swear I'm still here. Um, and give me just a second. I think I got it set up. That looks right. Here, let me move my camera. Okay. Okay. I think this is gonna work, guys. Uh, I think I might have figured out how I can use my iPad. So maybe the age of the Huey on tablet is dead. Ooh. Yeah, it is lagging a little, but I think it's mostly just the lag from the Discord stream. It doesn't seem to be input lag from my iPad or anything like that. Alright, so here, I'm gonna clear this, and today, for anybody who wants to know or who didn't get here from the live stream notification, we are going to be making some cute little Disenchantment fan art because I've been rewatching the first couple of seasons because the newest season came out. It probably came out not just now, and I'm behind. But I did see that it had come out, and I'm very excited to watch it. So I've been binge watching all of the first couple of seasons again. So today we're gonna draw some cute little stickers for my RedBubble store because I noticed that RedBubble, despite being a little bit particular about some of their fan art policy, has a lot of Netflix fan art, which makes that seem like a safe area for me to make fan art. So I'm gonna make some cute little stickers of Disenchantment today, of like Tia Beanie and of Lucy, and you know, we'll see where it goes after that. And I'm also noticing that my lights are really bad, so give me just a second. I'm gonna put you guys, actually, you know what, I'll just turn my camera off for a second, and you guys can sit here with my iPad. Here, I'll draw you guys a smiley face. Look. Smiley face man will sit here with you guys. I will be right back. Let me fix my camera. I think we're okay. I have like a really huge window facing the sun right behind me over that way, and then some other little computer lights, so it's a little bit of an art to make sure that I both look like a person and not like I'm sitting in a dark cave. But hey, I think it does look like the stream is not gonna crash. That was the other thing I was worried about, was that a couple of times before when I tried to stream just like regular iPad footage on Discord, not for streaming, just to my friends, it did crash. But it looks like we're not crashing, and hold on, I'm turning my screen brightness down a little bit. You can see all my settings. Not that any of that matters. Yeah, it is still gonna light my face on the bottom there a little bit. Oh well, sorry guys, that looks a little bit weird, but I guess you're gonna have to deal with it. Cool. Well, it does look like that's gonna work though, and I think I'm confident enough in that I'm going to— oh! Didn't say it. Okay. Well, I guess I have to keep Discord on the front screen. That's gonna be kind of annoying, but let me see. Here. You guys are gonna be hidden for just a second so I can move some tabs off of my other monitor so I can keep Discord open over here. But that should be fine. Actually, you know what? I can probably... Here. We're gonna look at my face again for a second. Sorry. I'm gonna see... I can probably just pop out this window if it has to be on top all the time. And then... that should make that easier. And I can drag this over here. And cool. Now I have my little windows over here and Discord over here with just the stream window, I think. I think that should be okay now. Okay. Let's try this again, and I am gonna pull up some little references over here and just make sure. Sorry, I am trying to be kind of careful with the stream windows, because the downside to this workaround is that I can't stream just like the viewing window for Discord. I have to stream like all of the Discord window. So if I am not so careful, I might like dox myself a little bit or something. So I'm just trying to watch for that. I should have put my pins up higher on my sleeves. You can't see them. Maybe I'll fix that while I'm with my other hand while I'm searching for stuff. Cool. So the first one that I'm gonna do, and here, let me bring us back to... Oh no, now it's streaming the wrong Discord window. Okay, hold on. Well, I guess it's good I noticed that before I just, like... I guess all that's in there is stuff you guys have already seen, because this is just my work Discord anyway, but... Okay. And then... and then since it's a new window, I have to resize it a little bit, so sorry. I know you guys would rather just be watching me draw than listening to me talk about setting up, but I swear I will do my best to make it worth your wait in just a bit. Okay. The window is fixed. We're gonna transition back. Okay. Ah, that should be the end of our technical difficulties for the hour. I hope. Here, let me put my little pins up higher so you guys can actually see them. And then we will start drawing Tia Beanie. I'm moving my little Tia Beanie pin first. Tia Beanie also likes kissing girls. I actually really like Tia Beanie as a character. I think that she has a lot of, like, really well-written intentions. Like, she has a lot of things that she wants as a character, and makes a lot of, like, really sound decisions to get those things based on the context that she has. Like, I think that there are just a lot of storytelling decisions made around her that are really well done. I really like her character, kind of just in general. So, on that note, we are gonna start drawing her as one of our first little cute RedBubble stickers for the day. And I'm gonna start by just drawing out just a little sticker base. I don't think we need to have a really nice piece of Tia Beanie fan art, because again, I am just gonna make some cute little stickers for RedBubble today. So I'm gonna try and keep the silhouette kind of simple. And actually, I think I'm gonna do more like... And... just put some cute little feet down here. And Tia Beanie is always, you know, she's always drinking or doing something with a sword, so we'll have to give her some props. Maybe like a tankard or something. Or a sword. We could always give her a sword. I don't know. Maybe we'll just give her a little sword. I don't really want to simplify a tankard. Simplified sword sounds way better for stickers. So I'm gonna put a little sticker hand here and a little simplified sword. And I guess we can talk a little bit about character design today too, because I'm gonna do these little simplistic stickers, but I do want to really make sure that they look like the characters that I'm intending them to look like, right? So that means with these really simplistic characters that I have to pay really close attention to which features are going to stand out as that character, right? So for Disenchantment, Tiabini, sorry, she has some really prominent features, I think, that are gonna make her stand out, and we're gonna draw this little sword as just like a prop, but it's not gonna be one of her like key aspects or anything, because I think a lot of the noticeable features that are gonna make Tiabini stand out as Tiabini is that one is her hair, which is very just bright white and kind of shaggy, so long shaggy white hair. And also another thing, especially for cartoons, is the color palette. So a lot of the colors in Disenchanted are just like a little bit grayed, not as much as like old Disney cartoons or anything, but just slightly grayed so that you can kind of tell it's supposed to look kind of old and medieval. So we're gonna make sure that we don't put any like overly saturated colors on our character. And then I think one of the other things that's gonna make Tiabini really stand out are her teeth. She has some very prominent big buck teeth that are joked about throughout the series. So we're gonna make sure that her big buck teeth are really on display for that one. And I'm trying to decide if I want to put the crown in her hair or not. I'm gonna not. But I could give her the cute little princess tiara too. That would be a very noticeable feature, but also she doesn't wear it very often, so I think I'm going to not put it in her hair anyway. And again, she has like the hair of characters, especially in cartoons, are really usually very noticeable features. A lot of the time in like anime or in like cartoons for really small children, they'll do this thing visually where a lot of the background characters will all be the same, like basically the same character. Like they'll all be slight variations on the average person with average hue hair with brown eyes walking in the background, right? And that means that like when things are distinct from those background characters, those are usually the things that people are going to pick up on as distinct for the character themselves. So like with cartoons, a lot of the time the hair will be something that lots of background characters will just have the same hairstyle, colored different over and over and over again, or they'll have slight variations on that same hairstyle, and maybe the women will have one and the men will have one in the background, and there'll be like one other random hairstyle that just is supposed to add variation, right? Because a lot of the times background characters are just meant to fill space, right? They're really intended not to draw the eye. So because they're really intended not to draw the eye, they have these same features that are just copy pasted over and over again. and hair often is a really important part of that. So we're gonna make sure that things like the point of the hair on the face. For Tia Beanie, she has something that's called a widow's peak, and that's when the hair like comes down to a point on the forehead. We're gonna make sure that that is right. Also, the part on the top of the head where that is usually pretty important, whether it's on the left side, in the middle, or on the right side. Usually makes a difference. And then the other one that's usually pretty important is length. Other than those 3 points, you can kind of mess around a little bit. Like, I'm gonna make her little hair shag things not be in exactly the same place as they are on her actual character, but I also don't think it's going to meaningfully distract from the fact that this is supposed to look like Tia Beanie. So I think if you just keep in mind those 3 points, those 3 main points for hair, just like the forehead, the where the actual part is, and then the length, for the most part, like, those 3 are going to give your character the same looking hair as the original character. And that is, again, if your problem isn't drawing hair. Like, some people just aren't that good at drawing hair, and that's fair because it is a lot of effort to learn. So, it's all just what you can do. If you aren't good enough at drawing hair that you can pick out those features in characters, then that's fine. Just, do your best, or even just, like, actually do your best to copy where those lines are just on your own characters. Again, I think that, like, if you are using a reference image for the hair, right, of your character, that's gonna be one of the things that does, for cartoons specifically, that is gonna be a lot of their, their traits. I think that also, like, that's mostly specifically for human characters, right? Like, if you have humanoid characters, right? Like, sometimes in cartoons you'll have, like, shapeshifters or elves or stuff. Like, usually they have different traits that are supposed to be, like, peacock traits, like things that stand out, right? And the things that I think stand out the most on Tia Beanie's face, again, are these big buck teeth. So I'm trying to make sure that I put them in here up against the side of her face. I think that one was probably the best one. And then she also has, like, really large eyes, so, which is just kind of the way that the characters are styled in this. Also, she does have her hair coming down in front of her shoulders in most of these, so I think I'm gonna draw some hair in front of her shoulders, just to make it really obvious that this is Tia Beanie. And I'm also noticing that she does not have eyebrows, so I won't draw any. I didn't realize that the whole time watching this show, but I'm realizing it now trying to draw her. It doesn't look bad or anything because it's a cartoon, but I didn't even realize that they did. I wonder if they draw maybe like some eyebrows for expression sometimes or something, and that's why I didn't notice. Oh, no, actually it looks like even in these expression shots they just changed the eye shape, so I guess she never had eyebrows. Oh well, that's fine. Who needs eyebrows anyway? I guess because her hair is white? That would make sense. I guess because her hair is white, it doesn't really make sense to draw cartoon eyebrows, because they probably wouldn't show up on her pale skin very well, and you can't, like, probably outline them very well in a way that's simple. So I guess she has no eyebrows. That's fine. No eyebrows for Tia Beanie. Alright, so now we're gonna work on these clothes. She has some kind of, like, we're gonna do her like street clothes because I really don't like her princess garments, and neither does she, so that's fine. We're gonna draw her cute little blue like blouse thing. I don't know what you call those. It's just like a popper style shirt, you know, with some little baggy sleeves. And she has like a belt that keeps it cinched around the middle, so we're gonna draw that outfit. And I think this is probably, other than the hair, the second most important part of making sure your characters look like your characters, because a lot of the time, especially in cartoons, your character will wear one outfit and nobody will question that, but they just will wear one outfit. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to screw with my frame there. My editor is crying. Anyway, but yeah, so I think probably like your characters having the right clothing is going to be the second most important part of that. Just that if you need to see what your character is in a different style, right? Like the hair and the clothes are going to be those main features that tell you what that character is, because your character, again, will wear one outfit, which means you, throughout that show, have learned to associate that outfit with them. And if you saw them in a different outfit, it would probably look weird, even in the cartoon, which is why sometimes, you know, characters will get all dressed up and other characters will make jokes about not recognizing them, right? Because they genuinely look like a different person. So, I think just the main takeaway here is that with cartoons, you don't have to get every single detail exactly the same, you know? You just want to make sure that you get the details that are really meant to stand out the same. Like things like if your character wears the same outfit the whole time, or if maybe they have some piece of jewelry that they reference a lot that they hold on to really tightly, or maybe you're drawing somebody who has like a blanket that they carry around, you know, stuff like that. You just it's if you think about it first, it seems like it's a big complicated task, really, but usually if you think about it for a second and just think about things that make that character stand out to you. It doesn't even have to be things that make that character stand out in general. Usually you'll do an alright job making them look like the original character. At least in terms of features and aspects. She also has this belt that I was talking about before, so we're gonna draw that. And cinch that right here in the middle. And I'm gonna look up a better reference for her boots because they are not really they're not really in this photo, so give me just a second and I'm gonna pull up a better reference for her boots. Okay. I think I'm gonna draw a little eraser line here and just bring the sides out a little bit because her boots are kind of oversized too. So I want the lines to come off to the sides a little bit more. And then she also has kind of like a crack in the top of them where they're not laced all that tight. And
it's been a long time since we have parted ways. It's like I've lived through all these years still waiting. Well, now here we are.
that looks pretty good, I think. And I drew this little down thing on the belt, but she doesn't actually have that, so I'm gonna erase it. I'm also noticing that I have this a little bit off center, so I'm gonna scoot that over here and clean that up. Alright, I'm liking how that sketch looks. Yeah, I think probably let's take this sketch and still want these little hair things just to the side of her face, because she has those in like nearly every shot. And then also the ones that come down in front of her shoulders. And then other than that, I'm just gonna make her hair look kind of shaggy. Drawing these big puffy sleeves. Turn this down a little bit more. And I'm gonna put, she's got a little lip in here that I didn't draw the first time. I'm gonna add that in now. Just on the side here.
It's been a long time since we have parted ways. It's like I've lived through all these years still waiting. Well, now here we are. Isn't it funny how we swore before that it would be the last time? Even then, it's strange. My feelings
Also,
haven't changed.
I think I made this little cross on your shirt too big the first time, so I'm gonna tone that down.
We ended up like this. But I don't think it matters when there's so much
Alright,
we're
draw the little
waiting
belt.
for us. So won't you take me by the hand? There's so much we could do together if we give it one more chance. Yeah, let's put the past behind us and make memories in the present. Let's dance till the sun goes down.
Little oversized shirt.
So now here we are. Whoever thought that we would meet again after we went
And
our own ways? But there's no time that they will
I dropped my
have to
iPad.
go.
Or sorry, my pencil. Give me just a second.
It's been a long time. That makes it perfect, 'cause we won't be dwelling on the things that went wrong. People are bound to change, and if we're meant to be, then won't you tell me you'll stay? It's been too long, I don't recall how we ended up like this. But I don't think it matters when there's so much we're waiting for us. So won't you take me by the hand? There's so much we could do together if we give it one more chance. Yeah, let's put the past behind us and make memories in the present. Let's dance till the sun goes down. So won't you take me by the hand? There's so much we could do together if we give it one more chance. Yeah, let's put the past behind us and make memories in the present.
Okay. You know, maybe if I wouldn't twirl stuff around, I wouldn't drop it, but whatever. we're gonna draw this cute little sword. And I think I drew it a little bit off center the first time, so we're gonna fix that. The hilt is actually a little bit more this way, I think, because of the way I angled the sword. Alright, and cute little boots. And yeah, I think that does look very much like TV. I think we've done a good job. So let me sit here and sip some of my coffee, and then we will do the inking on that. Alright, we are gonna turn this down and start our inking. And the brushes I usually like to use for inking are just the syrup brush, but I just screwed with the I just screwed with the streamline and the, like, I can't remember what it's called. It's like streamline and like auto balance or something. It just makes your lines less shaky, because if you're drawing on a glass pad, usually your lines are not going to look nearly as nice as if you are drawing like on a piece of paper or something. So I have one for inking that's this one that, if you can see, it adjusts my lines quite a bit as I'm going. And then I have this other one that I've adjusted that's the same brush, it has the same texture, it has the same, like, color quality, but this one I messed with those same two settings and just made it really, really responsive to my pen so that I can color in big old spaces really easily. So this one is the one I use for coloring. So gonna do this curve probably a couple of times because I have this weird thing with just curves where I want them to be really nice, except for I'm just very bad at them. So they do not end up usually being very nice. But again, that is another reason that this really overcorrected pen works really nice for inking, is because it does help me make really nice looking curves and angles when I myself am not all that great at drawing them, because it will follow my pen a little bit. I do still have to manipulate it in a way where those curves and angles fit along the path that I'm drawing, but it is a lot easier to make them look really clean and nice on the actual artwork, which is nice for inking. Especially, again, on like a glass pad where it wouldn't be easy for me to just draw a really clean straight line. And a lot of the reason that actually like digital drawing seems really hard initially for especially traditional artists is something that you probably would never think about in a million years, and that's that paper has friction. Like, you don't ever think about when you're writing, but it's actually like the contact and the pressure between your pencil or your pen or your marker and the paper that is making lines. And when you're drawing digitally, all of the pressure and the tension and stuff is just like imitated and measured by whatever stylus you have, right? So if you have like an iPad like I have, all I have under this pen or under this Apple Pencil is just a sheet of glass. Like, that is not going to give basically at all when I press on it. It's not really going to have surface friction, except for mine does a little bit because I have a screen protector on it that imitates paper a little bit. But normally just the iPad by itself, right? There's going to be very little surface tension, very little surface friction, because it's just a smooth sheet of glass. And maybe you like use it a really long time and you work some grooves into it, but that's not the same as paper, right? It's going to be specific grooves from just where you've used the tablet a lot. So I think that probably having like a nice little stabilizer for a lot of people is going to make your art feel and look a lot more like your traditional art supplies, just because you lose a lot of that control, I think, using digital art supplies. And it's not like you can't control digital art supplies in the same way. It's just that it requires a lot more, like, it requires a lot more practice without, like, really immediate feedback like you get with a piece of paper. And for people that have learned how to do their art on pieces of paper or canvas or with physical models, I feel like that is often a really difficult thing to do, to just adapt without any feedback that's like active, right? So I think that if you learn how to use like the stabilization tools in whatever program that you're using, it's a really big help, and you can create your own pens and stuff that work well for you specifically based on how you want to be drawing on your digital device, as opposed to having a bunch of pens that kind of just go exactly where the pen tip is, which when you have a smooth sheet of glass where your pen tip is going to kind of wiggle and not really stick and not really be where you want it is probably not actually what you want. Like, my pencil is probably the only thing that I use in Procreate unadjusted, and that's just because I just want to put stuff down when I'm sketching. I don't have any, like, expectations of my sketches to be really nice, clean lines. I know some people will preach up and down about really nice, clean sketches, but I just don't do those. I am the person that started off with really sketchy line quality and it never got any better. So, I mean, when I go to do inking and stuff, I can do like really nice lines on paper. It just takes me some time, long enough that I don't care to do it while sketching. So, and maybe that just means that I'm supposed to practice more, but I haven't. So I think the stabilization tools, especially for me, who has kind of really sketchy line quality, are really helpful when you go to do really clean lines after the sketching phase. We have our cute little sword and some hair, our oversized blouse. I really think this is looking really good as some Tia Beanie fan art. I was a little bit worried when I drew the face that it was gonna come out not looking like her and kind of looking like a Simpson, which it maybe does a little still, but I also think that it looks a lot like Tia Beanie. And again, I think one of the most important things for cartoons is color. So after we do this line art, we're gonna come in and put some real colors in here, and then I think it's gonna look exactly like Tia Beanie. Some cute little boot X's for the laces. Laces on the shirt. And sketch off. Ta-da! Aw, that's so cute. I really like how this is coming along. And since we're doing a sticker, usually what I have been doing for little graphics and things is I turn the whole background off, so she's hard to see a little bit right now, sorry about that. And then I also am gonna come take like a very bright, all the way pure white, and my pen that is adjusted for the line art, so the pen that auto adjusts for me quite a bit, and I'm going to go around just the outside of my line art and kind of add just... Sorry, there was a bug on my screen. Ew. Anyway, I got distracted. I'm gonna go around just the edges and add this cute little white background to just where the sticker is. And that way, when I go and use this file for actual stickers, it's only going to be the size of the sticker itself. It's not going to have a lot of extra information saved elsewhere. It also makes it easy to use like over other things, like if I wanted to put it on, like, because this one, like I said earlier, is gonna go up on my RedBubble store. So I whoops, sometimes my pen tip gets a little bit loose because I have some off-brand ones. There we go. But yeah, so since I'm gonna put this one up on my RedBubble store, it's also gonna be on some stuff like hats or t-shirts, which means there's gonna be color that isn't this color behind it, which sometimes is absolutely fine, and other times can be a lot of hassle. So one of the other things that putting this little white outline behind does for me is that even on t-shirts or hats or whatever that would have a solid color that might not match with the colors that I already have in a nice way, or that might not let, you know, my line art show up, stuff like that, I have this little border between that block of color and my actual art. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because again, the purpose of this is not to be like a really nice clean outline for the sticker. It's just to be a barrier between my art and whatever I'm putting it on top of, while still having like a full contained art piece for other things, you know? And now that I have this whole big outline, I can just fill it in. And since I did it kind of around where the line work is anyway, there's probably going to be very little for me to clean up with the fill, except for maybe just like right here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Alright. And now I'm gonna go back to my references because it is really, again, the colors for cartoon characters are really going to determine a lot of whether or not you have actual like recognition, or whether or not your character is recognizable. Because usually cartoon characters will wear the same outfit. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but also cartoon characters have some really simple points that are just very important. So I'm just trying to drive those points home for people. Oh, and then something I said earlier was that a lot of the characters in Disenchanted and a lot of the colors are kind of muted to make everything just look kind of dusty and old. So we're gonna stay off of like the big right side of our color blocks and stay more from like the center here to the left. in an effort to make everything look a little bit washed out for the Disenchanted characters. So I think I'm gonna pick a blue about here and try this for the darker color of her shirt. And I actually think that might be a little bit too dark, so we're gonna make it a little bit brighter. Oh, and I'm still using the overcorrect pen, so as you can see, that does not work very well for coloring large spaces because it's trying to overcorrect my coloring blobs into some really nice lines for me. But yeah, that looks about right, I think, for her shirt color. So we're gonna color in the darker part of her big overshirt with this blue. And then that's the only thing on her outfit that is that same color, but her sleeves are this same color, just shifted up a little. So we will hue shift that just a bit. And color her sleeves. Oh, and I think I am on the same layer still. Oh, no, I changed it. What am I talking about? I'm so used to forgetting that I just assumed I forgot, I guess. And the other sleeve. And now I'm gonna come clean up all of these lines on her hair, because her hair is just gonna be white. So I might not even color that a base color since we have this cute little white background. Okay, and then she has some kind of just leather khaki brown color pants, and then those are hue shifted down to be the color for her boots and her belt. So we're gonna start with this lighter brown color for her pants, and again I want to try and stay off of this right side of the color blocks to keep them looking kind of desaturated. Alright, and I think that's still a little bit too dark, so I'm going to shift that up a little bit. And I think her pants actually are a little bit more orange, because some of the highlights do make them kind of look orange. So I'm gonna add some more red into that, and that looks better. There is so much to learn about color mixing. It is kind of crazy. Oh gosh, of course that would be the time I forgot to change the layer. Anyway, but yeah, no, it is actually kind of crazy because color theory is such a huge field. There are so many. I mean, actually, I don't know if like the term color theory applies to a bunch of different fields. Maybe it just applies to like a specific set of color information. I have no idea. But just like theories about colors are there are just so many of them, and they're about so many different things. Like different colors have different emotional contexts, and different cultures have different emotional contexts for those colors, right? Or that you know, or even something as basic as, you know, red and blue get mixed together and make purple. Like that is sounds like it should be really easy, and then you have to actually like create like an orange brown or something, or like, you know, a slightly yellow green blue or something, right? And it ends up being a lot more complicated. And especially if you're trying to color match stuff, like there is a lot of color mixing information that goes into matching things. Uh, and not the least of which is just being able to look at and see colors well enough to distinguish them from each other at like a very intricate little detailed level. Like, I know that this is kind of like a joke, but sometimes people will be like, they'll put up like the color gradients, right? And they'll be like, oh, if you only see 3 colors here, you're colorblind or something, right? Which sounds like a haha funny joke, but also like some people are just genuinely very bad at distinguishing colors. And honestly, I would say if you cannot distinguish colors well, then I wouldn't worry very much about trying to color match things. If you can't distinguish colors well on your own, like, and there's lots of like screeners and things for being able to distinguish colors, so uh, I don't I don't have any recommendations on that. I'm not a medical professional or anything. Um, but if you find that you cannot distinguish colors very well, and you still want to color match stuff, just pick it. Just take your little eyedropper tool and literally steal the hex of whatever color it is, because that is going to be a million times easier than trying to color match stuff if you can't tell how you have to shift the colors. Because a lot of color matching, I think, does end up being hue shifting, which is just where you take your color, you make a best guess, and if you're wrong, you have to then figure out how you're wrong and adjust your color to how you're wrong. And that does require, I think, a lot of being able to differentiate colors. Like, I happen to be very lucky and I can differentiate colors very well. And I can tell when I have to shift things to look more like the original. Like, I can tell right now that my colors are probably still too saturated, even though I have been talking about trying to stay off the right side of the color wheel. Or the right side of my color blocks. But also, I think I'm gonna not worry about that so much. Not let that be okay. Just because I'm still trying to pick from around the same range of values, so hopefully it'll turn out okay. And these do look more like her colors in like some warmer lighting or something. Maybe I'll just put a gray wash or something over top of everything. But yeah, colors are like such a rabbit hole of information if you actually want to learn how to use them in your artwork, that it's kind of insane that some people have such like an intense grasp of colors. Like oh gosh, I think their name is Loomis. I'm really bad at names. I'm so sorry if that is not their name. But there's this person that puts out some art books and some art channel classes and things, and they have like this really amazing grasp of not only color mixing, but like using colors to emotionally manipulate the viewer, right? Like they know exactly how to shift their colors and contrast them in a way that is going to make you not only look at where you are supposed to be looking, but like feel the things that are supposed to be in the image, regardless of whether or not you actually understand what the image is doing, which is like a really fantastic abstraction of color. I'm sure that that is something that took them ages to learn, and every time I see some of their work, I'm just really inspired by that level of understanding, you know. That's so cool to be able to. And the other thing is, some people just have like, and maybe this is Lumi's too, I don't know, they like, I'm assuming that they've put a lot of time and effort into learning their technique because they have some art books and things where they explain a lot of what they do. But some people are just naturally very intuitive about color too. Like, they can look at colors and put them in places that are going to interest you as just like someone observing them. And I think that is really cool. Like, to just either by instinctual like intuition or by knowledge, just having such a great understanding of how to use colors to like to just basically enforce or manipulate people into what you're trying to portray to them through your artwork. I think that is like a really great power and tool to have as an artist. I am not that good at color. I understand I understand how to shift the colors. I understand a lot of like theory on color mixing, and I understand a little bit of theory on colors and how they relate to emotions, but that is like I said, such an informational rabbit hole to go down. It's so much to learn. It's actually pretty intimidating if you have no knowledge, and even if you just have a smaller amount like I do, it's still pretty intimidating. But you know, it's really useful because, again, like, there are some really powerful pieces that are just based on color theory and, you know, like emotional manipulation. Like, it's really cool to have just like a piece of artwork where not even the subject matter, but like the colors are portrayed in such a way that it's going to affect your viewer emotionally. Like, that's like, even people that can do such like really amazing, emotionally powerful things with like really simple tools are super impressive to me. I often find that I have to like learn a lot of really technical base knowledge before I can do stuff. And some people can just like take this little tiny simple bit of something and just make huge, great, beautiful things with it, and I think that's so cool. Like, like people who can do like just straight line work cartoons and that look really good, and nobody cares that they're just little, you know, straight line blobs or whatever, but because they just look really cool anyway. I love stuff like that. And I've talked so much that we are kind of done with our coloring, actually. I don't want to add a bunch of highlights or anything, cause it's just gonna be a sticker. Well, here. Maybe we will sit and sip our coffee while we decide what to do for the next one, because I really like how this came out, and I think I'm gonna... Oh, you know what? I did say, before we pick up the coffee, I did say we were going to add just like a gray wash over this, and I'm gonna actually add more of like a cream wash, like a kind of... Okay, so the point of adding like gray kind of dull colors to cartoons that are digital, especially newer cartoons that are digital, is to make them look old. And the thing that makes them look old that way, like in our brains, is that old things get kind of like a yellowed, aged, like faded look, which our brains are gonna associate with that yellowing color. So I'm gonna add not a gray, but a cream over just like the whole color section here. So I'm gonna take this. Oh, whoops. That's not what I meant to do. I'm gonna take this and duplicate it and alpha lock it and just move it up on top of everything. And now we have this big blob that's going to be exactly the same as our outline from before. I'm also going to take my non-responsive color pen that just does whatever I want and color this whole thing this kind of yellowed cream color. And now you guys will see if I take this and I use this multiply layer. What this multiply layer does is it basically mixes the colors from this layer with the colors on everything below it like you would a traditional piece of art. So because I've added this cream layer and then changed it to multiply, what I've done now is I've added this cream color into all of the colors from before. So now if I turn this up and down, I can add more or less of this cream wash. So I'm gonna add just enough of this that it looks kind of, that it looks kind of old. And then yeah, and it still is looking pretty saturated compared to the actual cartoon. But I think it's gonna be okay. Alright. Yeah. I think that is looking good. Alright, we're gonna sip our coffee, and then... who should I do for my second sticker? I've been kind of stuck. I was either thinking I was gonna do Lucy, cause that's pretty cute, or Elfo, cause also pretty cute. And while I could do one of the other human characters, I feel like in Disenchantment, a lot of the other human characters are not really meant to be characters. And here, I'll drink my coffee and then I'll explain my weird little point. Like, the story really is about Tia Beanie, Alpho, and Lucy. With Tia Beanie being the only one of the three that is a human character. So, I feel like the other human characters are really meant to forward Tia Beanie's story. Like, the other demons are meant to forward Lucy's story, and the other elves are meant to forward Elfo's story. I don't feel like a lot of the rest of them have, like, meaningful character information or backstory in a way that makes them, like, that makes them their own character outside of Tia Beanie's story, right? Like, a lot of them have information that is either very basic as character information, like the Viking, or the farmer, or the guy with no feet, right? Or the me-flavored water guy, right? Stuff like that. Or they have character information that is specifically tied to Tia Beanie. Like, I mean, I still haven't seen the newest season, so maybe some of this is different now. Maybe I've gotten some character backstory that I don't know about yet. But, like, Tia Beanie's mom has a lot of information that is just about Tia Beanie specifically. Like, her life portrayed to us, the viewers, is about Tia Beanie even before Tia Beanie exists. And I think that a lot of the village people, right? A lot of the village people are there to be plot points in Tia Beanie's little adventures, right? Like the drunks or the plague doctor or the guy who sells poison, right? Like none of them are really their own fleshed out characters. So I feel like if I was gonna draw another person, like maybe the only person I would draw would be like Zog. Zog is okay. Zog has some of his own plot points, or oh gosh, what's her little brother has some character points that are his own points. What's his name? Oh, I could draw Una too. Una and her kid have some points that are separate from Tia Beanie, but I feel like all of the Dreamland characters that are just like Dreamland characters don't really have like their own plot points. Like even more important ones like Mortimer or Merkimer or oh gosh, what's Turbish, right? Like ones that have more kind of quirky individual pieces really are there to enforce Tia Beanie's story points, right? Like they don't have a lot of story that happens for them or that we the viewers have seen or heard happen for them outside of Tia Beanie. So I feel like they kind of aren't, they're kind of like scenery characters. They're not really even like secondary characters. So like, if I was gonna draw another person, it would probably have to be, like, Una, or Zog, or her little brother. Oh, Derek, that's his name. I'm so bad at names. But I think I'm not gonna draw another person. I think I'm gonna draw Lucy. And this one's gonna be faster, because Lucy is, just all one color, and it's all the line work color. He doesn't have like any coloring to do inside, so we'll sketch him out, we'll ink him, and then he'll be done. And excuse me while I hide this window from you guys again, because like I said, if I'm using this weird little Discord workaround and I have to turn it off or you guys can see all my stuff every time I leave the window. Alright, cool. Now I'll turn it back on. And we're back. Great. For brand new piece of art. Ta-da. Alright. So now we're gonna do Lucy. And Lucy is basically like a silhouette, because he, again, is a demon. Like, straight up is from hell a demon. And so a lot of the kind of cartoon jokes about him are that he is like not, even though he has the ability to interact with stuff physically. He's not like a physical being. He's kind of incorporeal. So like his silhouette and stuff is really meant to be his whole form, I think. So we're gonna take our pencil and we're gonna sketch out a really nice silhouette, and then hopefully when we go to ink that, it's going to stay looking like Lucy if we keep this silhouette really nice. And Lucy has kind of like an upper lip with some teeth, but he doesn't have a lower lip, and some little devil horns. And then again, since Lucy is kind of meant to be like a silhouette, like a shadow on the wall, we never actually see both of his eyes. We only ever see the one big eye on the side of his face that's facing us. So we're gonna draw just like one kind of squinted flat eye, like he's disappointed in us because he's disappointed all the time. And his teeth are actually a little bit smaller than that, so I'm going to shave those down a little bit. And depending on how he's posed, his shoulders and stuff, I'll look a little different. I actually think I've still made the eye too small, so I'm going to redraw that one more time and actually erase this, because I think it does pretty well come right up against this whole edge here when it's all the way open, right? So it's a pretty large eye. And then come in and draw this flattened eyelid line. There, that's better. And we're gonna have Lucy kind of hunched over like he's getting up to no good. So we're gonna have his neck come out here, and then he's got a long kind of pear body. And a little tail. And a little demon point on the tail. And I want him to look kind of hunched over like he's up to no good, so I'm gonna put his hands out in front of him like this, like he's up to no good. And I'm not gonna worry about where his shoulders are so much because, again, Lucy doesn't really have like a difference between the line work and the body, so I'm gonna just kind of sketch in some little hands just wherever, because it's not gonna matter really once Lucy is kind of like, they make a joke that he's a cat because he's kind of formless. He doesn't really have consistent joints and consistent size, stuff like that. He is kind of just a blob on the wall a lot of the time. That vaguely resembles Lucy. So we are going to And I mean, he does have, again, a lot of these same, like, features, like the little bulb head or the little pear body that usually stay the same. But, but he isn't really consistent in design other than that. He just is kind of shadow silhouette thing. And we're gonna draw some little creeping legs out in front of him because he's up to no good. And Lucy kind of also makes this joke about being like the demon on Tiabini's shoulder. So he kind of has this catchphrase where when they're thinking about like doing bad stuff, he just says do it. So we're gonna put do it above his head. Like he's telling you to do it, you know? It's encouraging you to steal Lady Lincolnberry's carriage. Something like that. I don't know. Go to the pub so late that you get picked up by the plague doctor in the morning. And then again, Lucy doesn't really have a difference between the line work and the coloring, so I'm just gonna sketch all of this in real quick right now and see if there's any spaces I need to fix up in the silhouette. And then start working on the inking, and maybe we'll do a couple of passes on the ink. But I feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to sit here and sketch details over and over again if he doesn't really have very many. Cool. I think that is looking a lot like Lucy. I think I maybe made his pupils too big, so I'm gonna shave that down a little bit. And just in case you guys are confused, when I'm saying shave stuff down, I just mean I'm gonna take my eraser and just kind of like pet the edges, like just very lightly touch at the edges until it kind of looks more like the shape that I wanted. And that way I'm not like erasing all of the things that I've done, but I also can get a better shape on large objects. And I'm trying to decide if there's something, because I feel like there's something I don't really like about this, but I can't think. You know what? I think Lucy's neck is a little bit longer. He doesn't have like a lot of neck, but you can definitely tell it's there, and I think mine you kind of can't. So I'm gonna take this and scoot his head over a little bit and just draw in more neck for him. And yeah, I think that does look more like Lucy. Cool. I also think I maybe made his teeth and his horns a little too close together, so maybe I'll redraw those. And again, I'm not going to worry too much about having a really nice sketch because Lucy is mostly line work, so we're going to try and be more careful about the line work and not worry so much about this sketch. I just want stuff to be about in the right place so that the silhouette looks right. And then We've got some cute little demon teeth. Oh, and they're actually further back than that first one. There. I think that's pretty good. That looks like Lucy. Alright, so we're gonna take this and turn it down again, and then do some inking. And again, this is a non-human character, so that the things I was saying before about the hair and the clothes and the colors are not really applicable, because the things that stick out about Lucy are pretty subtle. They're all basically shapes, which is why I'm trying to stick more to the actual art style, because Lucy is basically just a shadow. Like, there isn't any color in him, there isn't really any extra detail outside of his silhouette. Even when, like, his hands cross in front of his person and it's kind of confusing to the viewer, they don't add any, like, outlines or highlights or anything. So you can't really convert that into a lot of stylized art unless you are very careful with keeping just like some basic features the same. Like, he does have this kind of like lip and this kind of like round head shape that's mostly his nose, and if you were to convert that into, like, say, a more realistic style, it would be really hard to show, unless you used those same shapes, like, where the actual shadow would be Lucy, right? Because, again, he's just a shadow. So, and if you wanted to make him into a cartoon that's just more in your style, you would have to be really careful about, again, keeping those same shapes that are what define Lucy as a silhouette in the original in your style, which is kind of difficult, right? Like, I have a pretty simplistic style for my cartoons, and even I am kind of just like, well, I'll just draw Lucy, because he really doesn't have, he kind of already is a very simple cartoon. He's just some little black blob with some arms, basically. He doesn't even have wings for most of the cartoon. Like, he does in a couple of episodes, or maybe it's just the one episode. Anyway, he does have wings occasionally, but basically all of the cartoon, he's just this little black blob. So it's kind of hard to convert a little black blob into other little black blobs and make it look like the same little black blob, because there's not a lot of features in a little black blob. And I'm saying blob too many times for it to sound like a word, so I'm gonna stop. But yeah, so I'm gonna be really careful now about trying to get this line work to look like the original character, but there aren't a lot of those peacock features I was talking about before that you can pick out for this one. It's kind of just shadow. So it's like the edges, the silhouette of the character, the proportions and stuff are gonna be the important one for this one. Like, if I wanted to draw a little black shadow blob over here, right, and I wanted to do it in a really simple way, like, that isn't really gonna look like Lucy, but I could draw a really simple shadow blob and have this little pear body, and my big old nose, and my lip, and some horns, you know, my hands, and tail, feet. And it doesn't look exactly like Lucy, but it looks a lot more like Lucy than this other. So, you know, just keeping in mind which features are going to make that character stand out as the character in your style, I think is important too, because different people are going to emphasize different things in their styles. Like maybe you don't really draw eyebrows. Well, that's fine because Lucy doesn't have any eyebrows. But also, if you usually use like not having eyebrows on your characters as some sort of like mechanism for attention, right? Lucy already doesn't have them, so it's not going to be useful to you. Or if you have a lot of like in your style, you have a lot of characters who are picked out by their hair, right? Like you have a lot of hairstyles that are really noticeable on your characters, but maybe they all kind of wear the same clothes. Well, Lucy doesn't have any hair, so you have to pay attention to other things that are going to stand out where your hair stands out, right? Like the fact that he has his big old nose that's like the top of his head, or his little horns, right? Stuff like that. So I think it's really important not only to keep in mind what things stick out on the original character, but what things stick out in your characters when you're converting things into your own style. And I'm gonna switch over to this filler brush because, again, my line work brush has a lot of correction on it, so it's pretty hard to color large areas with. And I'm gonna just fill all of this in because, again, Lucy doesn't have any differentiation between between where his body is and where his line work is. It's all just this one color. He just is a silhouette. Which makes sense for a shadow demon, I guess. But also, it does mean that if your silhouette is a little bit off, it's gonna be a lot more noticeable than if you had a character with lots of colors and lots of very distinguishable peacocking features, like, you know, some ring they always wear, or their hair always stands out a certain way, or they always wear the same outfit, right? Stuff like that is not going to be relevant for Lucy. He is just a silhouette, which means that those silhouette features are a lot more important than they would be on a normal character, right? Like, on a normal character, like, say a human cartoon, who do we do, like say a Simpson or something, right? If we had a Simpsons character, Simpsons characters they're all pretty much like the same proportions and stuff, but they also have a lot of exaggerated features, right? Like, they have a lot of like edges and things that are really meant to be the thing that makes that character stand out. Like some of, like, even just in the regular Simpsons family, like Lisa has her bright orange dress, and Marge has her big blue hair, right? And Homer's always wearing the same outfit, which kind of shows his belly, right? So those are some very exaggerated and very recognizable features for those characters, where if you drew a family wearing those features, you would probably tag them in your brain as being the Simpsons family without them having to be like colored yellow, or without them having to be like, you know, drawn in the style of the Simpsons, because those are some very distinguishable characteristics. But Lucy's just a shadow, which means that every single piece of that shadow is going to be important to the eye. Which means that you have to be a lot more careful about converting those features into your style. So right now, I am just basically drawing Lucy because my style does not require me to add a lot of highlights or a lot of shading or anything if I don't feel like it's necessary. My style is very simple for cartoons, and I don't usually add a lot of extraneous details. I really like simplifying my drawings. Um, so for me, the point here is just to keep things like the teeth and the horns looking as similar to the original character as I personally am going to be able to do in a short amount of time. But if you are going to be drawing Lucy as, like, you know, some sort of realistic shadow or like a semi-realistic shadow, you are going to have to kind of like imagine what your characters would look like as Lucy, as opposed to what Lucy would look like as your characters, right? Because if you try to imagine what like disenchanted characters are gonna look like as your characters, you're just gonna imagine the disenchanted characters, right? And then even if you try to like force them onto your characters, it's probably not going to look as nice as if you just imagine what your characters in their natural state of being would look like, just like dressed up like a shadow person, or dressed up like Tia Beanie, or dressed up like Marge Simpson. And so if your characters don't really fit being a little shadow blob on the wall, maybe just don't put Lucy in there, or you know, draw a little shadow blob on the wall that just looks a little bit out of place, because he does have like some very subtle distinguishing features that are kind of hard to translate into other styles, because he doesn't have a lot of those like peacock features that we were talking about before. And I think my music has stopped. Hold on, let me start that again. Yep, it did. My bad. There you go. Fixed it. Okay. And I actually really like the way that this is coming out. I thought I would have to go over this line work a couple of times. But I think, yeah, so, if you weren't here watching me do this before, what I'm doing now is, for putting things into stickers, I'm gonna take my line art that adjusts for me, the brush that overcorrects for me quite a bit, and I'm gonna just drag it along just the outside of this image, so that when I go to cut this, like for stickers or for shirts or something, I already have like this really nice transparent image with a bit of a buffer for any other colors, like if I wanted to put it on a colored shirt or on a hat or something. I keep saying shirts and hats. I should. Anyway. I swear there are more things on RedBubble than shirts and hats. But those are just the two I keep thinking of, I guess. But anyway, if I add this little white barrier between my art and whatever color it is, as the background on the product, it increases the visibility for my actual art. And and that is just a trick that works for everything, right? Like if you are worried about the visibility of your piece, add just like a white or a black outline, and then add the other one around it. Because for me, right, I have some line art, right, that distinguishes my piece from the background, but sometimes the line art might not mix well as a color. But if I put white around my line art, then I now have both a dark and a light barrier between my art and the colors of whatever product. Which for anybody that doesn't know anything about like color theory or contrast or anything, what that does is it allows people actually to see the art in between those two barriers better. Because if I have colors right up next to my artwork, those colors actually distract your eye from seeing the actual colors of the art. So if you put like a green on a gray background and that same green on a white background, those greens are going to look different. But if you add color barriers between your art and those backgrounds, then it makes those backgrounds less distracting for what is going to be your perception of those colors. Which actually does allow people usually to see the colors better. And that's just an accessibility thing that I learned from making websites. It just does actually increase like readability of those colors for people in the eye, like because of the way that colors work against each other. So I'm gonna just finish up this little outline here, and then maybe I will still make an elfo sticker too. Just because that one didn't take me very long. But yeah, I think that looks really good. Oh, and I almost forgot to add his little catchphrase up here at the top. I'm gonna make this a little bit cleaner, just because I don't like how that came out. There we go. And then I'm gonna make a little white bubble space up here, and just put, oops. Do it. Do it, do it. And I'm gonna center that a little bit better. Oh, it's not on a different layer. Hold on. I'm just gonna undo it then. Give me just a second. Oh. There we go. Do it. And then I am still gonna center that a little bit better. Do it, do it, do it. And actually, I think those are spaced a little bit far apart, so we're gonna squish them together a little bit and then still center it again. And maybe I'll shave this little white bubble down so that it doesn't look quite so big, because now it's quite a lot of bubble around our little text thing here. So I'm gonna shave this in. And again, when I say shave, I just mean I'm gonna use my eraser and just trim a little bit of the edge off. Just very carefully kind of pet that edge there so that I have it more like the smaller shape that I want. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Cool. Oh. I think I do want to do one more. I think we're gonna do an elfo sticker. And also, I gotta use the little girl's room, so I'm gonna let you guys sit here with Lucy for a bit, and I will be right back. And yeah, okay. So I'm gonna use the little girl's room. I will be right back. Yeah, sit here with Lucy. Have fun. And we will start on the next one. Okay, you guys gotta stare at my face for a second again while I get this other one set up. And then... Okay. Ta-da! Brand new canvas. Alright. So for this last one, like I said, I think I'm gonna do Elfo. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll do like... We've got two characters. Maybe we'll do like one of the props or something. Like one of the trog things or something. Or we could just do elbow. Yeah, let's just do elbow. Elbow's fine. Alright. So, for Elfo, he's not a human character. He's kind of humanoid though. He's got arms and legs and is just very small. But he also is kind of just like a rectangle. Like his base shape is just kind of a rectangle that's kind of tapered in the middle, and then he's got a lip that comes off the front. And some arms. And some cute little elf feet. Little pointed boots and stuff. Typical elf, little tiny elf features, you know. And then it's got some kind of big blue shorts. And big oversized red shirt. And then this actually doesn't come up onto his face, and I think I drew it a little too high anyway. Kind of just comes up like that, and then here he's got big ol' elf nose. And hat. And he's got some big old elf ears sticking off the side of his face. And some little hair things coming off the front here. His eyes are like right next to each other too. They're like right on top of his nose, so. Alright, let's turn that down and start carving the sketch out a little bit more so he's got his little smile. Kind of a wiggly elf lip. Comes up here. And then big elf nose. And eyes super close together. Like right on top of each other for elbow. And then just got a little forehead bump thing and these little hair strands that come off the side. And then these kind of gradually get a little bit smaller and point a little bit more upwards as they come towards where you can see them. So I'm gonna do that. And then got our elf ears, which have a little triangle crease in the middle. And big ol' earlobes. And then for these, the actual cartoon kind of does the thing that I already do with ears anyway, which is just draw either little crosses or little suggestions of ears on the inside, so I'm gonna just do that. And we've got our little ear poking out the other side. And then Ofo's hat is kind of a distinguishing feature for him, so I'm gonna see if I can make this look as much like the actual hat as possible. It's got kind of bumps and wrinkles and stuff in it. And then the ball at the end of it, I guess kind of alternates how scruffily it looks, so I guess I won't worry too much about that. Kind of just looks like generic little puffball. And then I think I didn't put enough space between his bottom lip and his body, so I'm gonna, because he does also, I think I did this with Lucy too, they do have like a little bit of like a neck cut into the silhouette that isn't really like it doesn't really look like it goes on the body, but it is drawn there, right? Like his neck kind of comes in like this, and then his arm still comes off the other side, right? Like out here. But I am gonna draw it a little bit more like he has more neck, because he does have a little bit more than I did in my original sketch. And he does have like a little bit of a look. And then I'm gonna kind of situate that back into my silhouette. I think I need to tip that a little bit. Okay. And now draw this big oversized shirt. And again, his shoulder does still kind of come off of the right side of this rectangle shape, even though we're gonna move that. And then got little green round finger cartoon hands, so we're not gonna worry too much about drawing those. Because that should be pretty simple. We're gonna do the same thing for the other arm, just kind of hands at the sides. Elfo is kind of, as a character trait, kind of boring. Like, he purposefully is meant to be a little bit, like, of kind of like a stickler for rules and stuff, because the place that he came from is just so different from the outside world, right? Because he's from the place where all the elves are, which is like super dystopia happy land where everybody makes candy to get candy and has to be happy all the time, and Elfo's just not. But because he grew up that way, he does kind of have like this, to everybody else, is kind of like stick in the mud personality where he is just a little bit boring. Doesn't have a lot going on. So I am gonna not add a lot of like real out of the box, you know, catchy posing or anything for him, because he's just kind of there. He's just kind of Elfo. He just wants to be a sponge and experience the world, you know? Oh, and he also has like a little... Funny, I was talking about The Simpsons, like a little Homer Simpson kind of hair squiggle on the side there. And I made mine too close together. It is kind of like more like a little jagged... There. And Elfo also has the tied together shirt X like TV, so we're gonna add that. Got his little elf shoes. And other little elf shoe. Do, do, do. Cool. Let's turn the other sketch off. Yeah, that's looking great. That's looking just like Elfo. So I think I'm gonna, whoops, turn this down and start inking this one. So again, I have these brushes in here that are just the same brush that I messed with the auto balance settings, so that I can do line work and coloring with the same brush that I just like using. So we're gonna use this autocorrect brush and do some little lines for the hair. And I always say, oh, where am I gonna start? And I just start with the hair and the face, so we're not gonna say that this time. We're just gonna start with the hair and the face and let that be where we started. Because I don't know, every single time I ask where am I gonna start, I just start with the hair and the face, so. Hair and our little hat. zigzag line for this little hair thing on the side of his head. And again, his eyes are actually right on top of each other, so I am not going to worry about putting any space between them. I'm going to even overlap them a little bit. And then draw his nose. He's got a big old elf nose. And just some really simple dot pupils, because all of the characters in this show just have some really simple dotted pupils. Actually, all the characters that I can remember, maybe that's not true, but yeah, everybody that I've drawn and everybody that I can remember right now just has some simple black circles for their irises and their pupils. And then he's got some little wiggle to his lip. And again, this underlip is really underpronounced, so I'm gonna not draw that nearly out so far. And draw his little collar here. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, just because these are kind of oversized sleeves. And it looks like I drew this one up a little high, so we're gonna draw down more. And again, Elfo doesn't really have like nice or complicated looking hands. He just has kind of like little 4-finger circular cartoon hands, so I'm not gonna worry too much about how his hands look. I'm gonna just kind of draw little cartoon suggestion of hands with a finger missing. And that'll be fine. Cool. And he's got kind of like a pudge belly, so I'm gonna kind of bring his waist in a little bit before I do these flared shorts, to kind of make it look like he's, you know, poofing out a little bit there. And then draw these poofy shorts. And our little elf legs. Alright. And that'll be our line work. That looks pretty good. Alright, so we're gonna do the same thing we did before and turn the background off. And come in here with this autocorrect brush and do the white outline again. I'm gonna turn that up a little bit because I want the outline to be a bit bigger than that. And here around the puffball, I'm not gonna draw little bumps or anything for that because I think it doesn't add anything to the barrier. It isn't gonna make it more visible if I add little bumps or anything, I don't think. Just want to make sure that anything that is going to need to be seen by the viewer has this border around it. And just continue along the outline. this, and ta-da! We have our cute little sticker base. Great. Now I'm gonna take my other brush that doesn't autocorrect so much and just start coloring. Alright, so Elfo is pretty green, but again, we want to make sure that our colors stay in this less saturated side of things, so I'm gonna actually make him pretty desaturated, pretty bright white green. And I actually think just maybe a little less blue-green than this, and a little more yellow-green, so yeah, that looks better. Alright, and I'm gonna come in here and just flat color all of the elf skin spots. And I'm gonna color in all of his hands and his legs, and then we will pick shirt color. Elfa's so cute. He's got just like a really good storyline. He ends up pining over Tia Beanie despite being like half her size, and then also then going on like a fake date with this huge giant like that is way bigger even than the people, despite being like this tiny little guy. His whole character arc is kind of about wanting to try like things that are not typically considered to be like sweet and nice, like one of the first things that happens to him when he gets out of the elf woods is that he accidentally takes part in like this, I guess like, oh gosh, I can't remember if they're supposed to be like dwarves or gnomes or something, but like little tinier people even than him, versus giants war. And he just like, because he's kind of clumsy and isn't really supposed to be there, doesn't really know what he's doing, he just kind of messes up stuff for both sides of the war. And it's like all in one scene too. It's all like just a really quick point about how Elfo is really kind of just looking for something not sweet and kind and lovely like he's used to from the elf village. Or there's another scene where after he gets out of the elf woods, he goes and finds these humble farmers that are so humble that they don't have names, and they couldn't possibly have something that he would enjoy, but they're welcome to share what they have with him and stuff like that, right? Like they're supposed to be like purposefully bland, basic people, like so bland and basic that it's like a trope, right? It's obviously not supposed to be like real people. It's a caricature of basic people. Elfo goes, "Oh my god, your food is so good! I've never had anything like this! Oh my god, this is so cool to be in this like really weird basic place that isn't like full of candy and sugar and stuff." And they're like, "Oh, candy? Are you a king?" You know, like it's and he's like just very excited to be around just like bland basic things because they're just not common to him. And I think that is like I think that's a really fun and interesting point on perspective that they use a lot throughout the show, that Elfo is just like from a place where everything is happy and silly all the time, so he kind of hates when things are happy and silly. He would rather them be a little bit screwy, and he would rather, you know, Lucy mess up stuff sometimes so that they can all go on fun little evil adventures. And I think that that is like a really fun character story to have for your narrative. Like, they, like, the way that the characters are set up in Disenchantment kind of feels like a D&D party, right? Like, we have, like, our main character who doesn't have, like, a lot of specific skills, but they're just, like, generally kind of good at things. And then, you know, Lucy, who kind of has a lot of, like, specific skills, but they're kind of not that versatile. And then there's Elfo, who has kind of a lot of specific skills that aren't that useful, but are pretty versatile, right? Like, they're kind of, like, well spread out that way for adventures. I think I've made his hat too purple. Or, I mean, sorry, too pink. And I think it's supposed to be more purple. So I'm going to... Oh, I drew on the same layer too. I love when I do that. Oh well, at least it wasn't stuff that's next to each other this time. But I'm gonna just alpha lock that and color over it. And maybe make it a little bit more gray. There, I think that looks better. And he's also got like some almost like jean color shorts, so we're gonna get just like a very dark desaturated blue, and that'll be our shorts color. Oh right. New layers. Layers are important. And I think it's too dark now, actually. So I'm just gonna pull this up a little bit. Oh, I undid the new layer. My bad. And that looks better. And we're gonna also pick just like kind of a basic brown for his boots. I also think maybe he looks like a tiny bit stretched, so maybe we'll warp him and squish him a little bit. And does his puffball have a color? I guess it is just kind of like a brighter, like almost a white, but for his hat. As the like little bit of color that's in it. Okay. And I think I am gonna just take this whole thing and collapse it and just squeeze it down just a little bit. Whoops. And there. I think that that looks better. Yeah. I think that those look really good. So here, let me make you guys stare at my face one more time, and then we will check out all of our stickers from today. Alright. So this is our first one. We did Tia Beanie. I think this came out super cute. This is maybe still my favorite one. Um, and uh, we have Lucy, who is our little demon, and I think this one is super cute. Definitely a close second. And Elfo's probably my least favorite, just because I think I did kind of a not as good a job on the proportions as I would have liked to, but that's fine. He was our last one. Uh, the other two are really good, and he's not bad or anything, just not as good as the other two. And but he's still cute. I think they all three came out really cute. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys liked these. Let me know if you want me to do more of these. If you guys want me to do some more of those Pokemon. Let me know what you guys want, and we will work on some other stuff next week. And yeah, hopefully I will start on time next week. I will do my best. My time management skills are so bad. I'm sorry. Uh, but yeah, so I will see you guys next week. Go ahead and check me out here on Twitch or on YouTube or on any of the other social media things that you have. I have most of them, I think. Well, most of the big main ones. And yeah, so they should all be linked together. Go ahead and check me out if you want to see more stuff like this. If you don't, go do something else. Enjoy your day. All that jazz. Bye. See you guys next week.